Beer here back at the Fantasy Bar. 6 of my favorite plays for week 12, including a stud running back I think is going to go overlooked. What high Vegas total game is being ignored? And of course, my favorite play of the week. Who is it? Belly up to the Fantasy Bar and find out. Welcome in, guys. Week 12 edition Beers Daily Fantasy 6-pack. Hope everybody out there had a great Thanksgiving. I know it was a little different this year, but hopefully you got some quality time with some family, friends, and of course some football. So hopefully you did well on that Thanksgiving slate, but we are here to talk the main slate on week 12, and I am back with 6 of my favorite plays covering both FanDuel and DraftKings. Guys, before we get into the plays for this week, as always, very simple request for you. Hit that thumbs up button. That's the tip jar here in the Fantasy Bar. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well to get notified when these videos are coming out. All right, quick look back at week 11. Decent week. More green than red is what we're looking for. Deontay Johnson, very good to us here. And the running backs were usable. They got it done. But we move on to week 12. So let's start at that running back position. A guy I think is in an amazing spot that's going to go overlooked here. Kareem Hunt of the Browns. Now, look, no issue with Hunt or Nick Chubb. I think both guys can go off in this matchup with Jacksonville. We'll touch on that in a minute. But the thing that really stood out to me here is the pricing. There's a huge gap now between Chubb and Hunt, and I don't think that gap is really justified here. We have a $1,500 gap on DraftKings between these two, even bigger over on FanDuel. I think Hunt's the guy you want here, and I will have some Chubb, no doubt. But I'm going to have a lot more Kareem Hunt in my lineups here against Jacksonville. Look, a few reasons why. He's still out snapping Nick Chubb. I know Chubb was the productive one last week, is going to get it done on the ground, but Hunt's the guy more involved in the passing game, more involved in the red zone as well. They seem to love to go to him when they get around the goal line. Even in a down game, he did find the end zone last week. And against this Jacksonville team, like we mentioned, 6th most fantasy points allowed per game to the running back position. Love both of these Cleveland running backs this week, but I'm going to save some money and roll with Kareem Hunt as a value play here against this awful Jacksonville defense. Now let's stay at the running back position. Let's go back to back here. I promised you a stud that's going to go overlooked. I don't think many people are going to be rolling with Alvin Kamara of the Saints. Now we know Dalvin Cook pretty much a lock and load every single week. I mean, this guy continues to get favorable matchups. Love Dalvin Cook again this week. Too easy to put in the 6-pack here. But in that same pricing tier, in that stratosphere of running backs, I think Alvin Kamara really going to go overlooked here. Let's think about last week. We saw Taysom Hill make his debut as the starter, and things didn't go so well for Alvin Kamara. Only 1 target in that game. We know Taysom going to steal some rushing opportunities as well. All in all, public sentiment way down on Alvin Kamara here, and that's kind of factoring in to the ownership here, looking like under 15% on Alvin Kamara this week. And anytime I get a guy like this at that kind of ownership, I'm going to take advantage. I expect these numbers to jump up. I expect him to be much more involved in the passing game. This is a game on the road I think can be competitive here with the Denver Broncos, and the Broncos have really struggled with running backs, especially of late. Over the last 4 weeks of the season, Denver bottom 3 in fantasy points allowed to the running back position here. So let's take advantage. There's plenty of value on this slate. I'm paying up this week with Alvin Kamara against the Denver Broncos. All right, speaking of value, let's save you some money at the wide receiver position with Nelson Agholor of the Raiders. Now, I look at pricing here as well, and I'd say wide receiver 1 under 5K, and a lot of people are going to say he's not the wide receiver 1. That's Henry Ruggs. I disagree. Now, if you want to make an argument for Darren Waller as the pass catcher 1 on this team, that's fine, but we're talking about a Raiders team with a projected team total of over 28 points in this game against Atlanta. We're talking about a Falcons defense we know has been outstanding against the run here. So if you're thinking Josh Jacobs, I think the passing game is the way to go here. Very, very much a pass funnel is this Falcons defense. In fact, 2 wide receivers, 3rd most fantasy points allowed over the course of the season. We saw Agholor play very well in that game against the Chiefs. I know he's an up and down, boom bust kind of guy, but indoors here in a great matchup with Atlanta, and you can't beat these prices. Nelson Agholor, my favorite value at the wide receiver position. Now, we mentioned Darren Waller. That's exactly where we're going here next at the tight end position. Now, Agholor won't have a ton of ownership. Waller probably going to be one of the more higher-owned tight ends we have on this slate, and I have no problem eating that chalk, looking like Kelsey and Waller going to gobble up a lot of ownership here, but with good reason. I mean, let's look at the consistency here with this guy. If you're talking cash games, 5 or more receptions in almost every single game this season. So you're getting that floor there with those targets. You're also getting upside with Darren Waller. Why? We mentioned how bad Atlanta is against wide receivers. They're even worse against tight ends. In fact, allow the most fantasy points to that position in the entire NFL. So the old double stack, very, very valuable in these tournaments. A lot of people out there, the general public, do not utilize this. So don't be afraid to stack these Raiders. Super high team total here. Great matchup with Atlanta. Agholor, Waller, the guys I want here against the Falcons. So we like that game. Let's go to the other side and run it back with wide receiver Calvin Ridley of the Falcons. So Julio Jones looks like he's going to be a game time decision, and this could go one of two ways. Either he doesn't play. That's great news for Calvin Ridley, obviously. Even if he does play, Julio Jones, one of those guys that does not perform well when he tries to play through injuries. So that's also good news for Calvin Ridley. So no matter how this plays out, I think Ridley going to be a big benefactor here. And the focus of this Atlanta attack, consistency, we talked about it with Darren Waller. This guy's only been under 14 DraftKings points twice this season. In fact, 6 of his 9 games this season, he's gone for 18 or more. So again, nice floor in cash games, huge upside in tournaments. We've seen many games where Calvin Ridley's 30, approaching 40 fantasy points. In this game, for some reason, a lot of people don't seem to be on this game looking at ownership projections. Seems like Buffalo, Chargers is popping, Chiefs, Tampa Bay, a marquee game people are going after. But this game right up there total-wise, but ownership not reflecting that on most of these players, including Calvin Ridley. Now, if Julio Jones gets ruled out, maybe that ownership jumps up. I don't care. I love this spot here against the Raiders. Stack this game up. These are the pieces I want the most. Agholor, Waller, and Calvin Ridley. All right, it's time to take a look at my favorite play for Week 12. But before we do that, guys, we're going to continue our Beast of the Week contest. Very easy. Get in the comment section. Make sure you've hit that thumbs up button. All you have to do is guess fantasy points. We'll go with FanDuel this week for my favorite play of the week. And the winner, closest guess, is going to get themselves 1 week of free RotoGrinders Premium. I said free, gives you access to everything we have, including Lineup HQ, gives you the ability to make a ton of lineups in a matter of moments, but a peek behind the curtain. Or if you're already a premium subscriber, hey, we'll send you a free RotoGrinders t-shirt. So let's wrap up Week 12. So look at my favorite play. You know, Matt's the Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time, we owe you one more player. We owe you a quarterback here. I'm pretty sure you can guess who it is. We're going to complete that double stack with Derek Carr against the Falcons, this week's Beast of the Week. Now, clearly, I love this spot. We haven't had a double stack here in the 6-pack in quite some time, but that's how passionate and how much I love this spot for this Vegas passing game against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, let's take a look at Derek Carr. Again, been very consistent here. Multiple touchdown passes now in 7 of his last 9 games. Gives you a little bit of rushing upside. Not a ton, but he's not a zero in that department. That always helps. Vegas, huge team total. We continue to mention it. Only the Chiefs at Tampa Bay have a higher team total this week, and Vegas projected to score over 4 touchdowns in this game. And we mentioned how tough Atlanta's been on the run. You got to think Vegas going to attack through the air here. And we talked about the Falcons being bad against receivers, tight ends. You nailed it. You guessed it. No team has allowed more production to the quarterback position than the Atlanta Falcons. So we get low ownership here. We get a dream spot against a bad defense against the pass. Stack these Raiders up. Even if not, Derek Carr, playable in all formats. The price is fair. The matchup is there. Making Derek Carr easily my favorite play for Week 12 in this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that'll wrap it up for Week 12 with 6 of my favorite plays on FanDuel and DraftKings. As always, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, hit me up in the comment section right below the video. Don't forget, guess on fantasy points for Derek Carr on FanDuel for your shot at some free RG Premium. And don't forget, guys, hit that thumbs up button. Helps us out a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, you can also head over to Twitter and follow me at Beermakersfan. For RotoGrinders.com, I am Beer saying salut. Guys, again, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Good luck here in Week 12, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, thanks for checking out our videos. If you want more expert advice on DraftKings, FanDuel, or any other daily fantasy sports, make sure you check out the current videos playlist